explain it. Like I'm realizing I need to love myself so I can love the other person better than I do now. You know,
Amen.
because
Yeah.
sometimes I feel like it's not enough, but I need to.
Think that within yourself, or is it like pressure of the world that you're not loving yourself enough, or is it like coming within, inside, or outside?
I think it's coming from inside and outside and just the world in general. The pressures that you have, like, oh, you're 30 and you don't have kids, or you think this type of way, and it's just things that it's kind of like it's just the pressures of the world. I look at it like, yeah, I'm 30, but I kind of grew up in a crazy situation, which it's just a lot of stuff that happened, and it takes a lot to grow from that. And I feel like I grew a lot,
Mhm.
but it's still more self-love, self-care that needs to be done on my part.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we all like that. It's not like you're just like the only one. And I appreciate you sharing it with everyone because it's very sensitive topic, and I think it's very brave and encouraging to talk about it, like especially as a man. Because you know me, I can talk on and on and on about like everything ever. Just give me the topic. But this is like very unique and sincere, like just to be out there and like sharing. And I mean, you have very manly people who follow you on Instagram, like probably like, your muscles and everything, but you're a very like nice and kind guy. And you deserve to have that like self-love, because not because society pushes you, but because I think the reason is like the more society pushes you, the more you want to escape it. And once you figure out like there's not self-love enough in you, you just start looking for it.
Yeah, and it's like the expectations life put on you too. You know,
Right.
you just have to beat through it and find a way to love yourself better, which that's what I'm still navigating through. I don't think that just because you're a certain age, you don't learn. You learn something new every day. And
Especially our generation is so fucked up and not that bright. So, uh, maybe one day there will be like a school class. And I do believe that a lot of teachers now do that, and parents as well. But we never had that. And we went, from like playing outside straight to like internet, like,
yeah,
like some mask like covers your face. I don't know. So it just, yeah, we never had that in between, when parents like introduce you to internet, like saying it's all fake, like don't believe everything. I don't think we had that gap, and no one like taught you self-love anywhere. Because parents also like, so, right now, parents, I think like having a little bit like is in on that. Because back in the day, there's were less information, and my parents were trying to, meet ends, and they're trying to do their best, but no one taught them self-love. So how the fuck they should know? They're just like, just be a good person, and that was enough. But I think it's very important to get to that stage where you come to self-love, not because society pushes you or you want to escape society, but because it is part of taking care of yourself, right? Eating healthy, doing exercises. And this is one of those mental segments that you should have, should learn. It's not that easy fucking job.
it's not. And like self-care, like I said, our self-love goes into your mental health. And a lot of people have been having, especially quarantine, it it messed up a lot of people's mental health and the way that they think.
I mean, at some point in my life, I went to like, I love myself. I'm so confident. I'm so hot. I'm so cool. I'm like doing this, so many things. I'm like living my best life, la la la. But then, I didn't even look inside of me. And then when I looked, I realized that at some point I like not gonna even like be afraid, like start to rotten inside, because I just didn't cope with my feelings. I didn't process them. I was just whatever, forget about it, and move on. And
Yeah.
that is not always a good thing to do. It is a good thing to evacuate yourself from like toxicity, but you have to process that. This is why it's not like when you break up with the dude, like, oh, find like three more. Like sometimes it works, but like it doesn't really work. You know what I'm saying? You have to process the pain. You have to understand it, like, because it goes like mental health, your brain and your body are still connected, and you have to, like, do a whole cycle, right? It's like if you had a flu, right? You don't go like outside jogging the next day, right? You let yourself heal. Same with the self-love and mental health, because as you said, like self-love is the key to the mental health. Then the more self-love you have, the less people have affection on you, their words, their actions. You're just like, okay. And there's another thing I wanted to talk about, like about self-love and ego. How do we separate those things? Because ego, I don't want to say ego is bad, though I heard like a lot of things like, oh, that's your ego talking. And it is partly true, though ego can be also like working, I think, in your benefit if you teach it like that, which I'm working on right now. I had a little talk with my ego the other day, but it just, how do you like separate, like, because back in the day, like my ego was very very harsh on me. Just, oh, you think you're so cool, or you think you're so nice, oh, look at you, you're fat, you're ugly, you're like not worthy, you la 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 la, oh, so many bad things. And that was coming within me. It was my little ego voice who was like rotten one, who was like bringing up those thoughts that I couldn't escape from. And then now I'm like coming into senses with it, like it should benefit me because it's part of me, right? I cannot get rid of it, cannot like amputate it. It's part of me. So how do you live with the ego and self-love, and how do you separate those without having that ego affecting your self-love, let's say on a daily basis?
What I think with that is like, you have to like, okay, you got to, what like somebody with an ego is, and like a big ego, and what self-love is. So you have to separate it. Like, okay, I don't want to be like, oh, this is my ego doing this, separate that. You have to draw a thin line between what you think is acceptable and what is not acceptable. That's how I look at it.
How do you like, do you have that voice? Do you have the same as I do? Like, oh, you like,
yeah, of course.
How do you cut it off? How do you cut it off?
That's a hard thing because mine is still on. I can't.
Talking. How do you fucking cut it off? No, I'm just like, I know how I cut mine. How do you cut yours? Do you?
I don't. It gets to me all the time, and it put me down. That's why I said
I didn't know I could cut it off at some point, and I was just like, hey, that's in my head, right? So fuck off. And I was just like taking those big scissors and like chop, motherfucker. But I mean, it is hard though. But then ego can, like, I think the understanding, like, as I said, acceptance as well. Like, again, you cannot train your ego to talk only good things to you. We all have fears, we all have like insecurities, la la la, and we all work on them. Doesn't mean they're like, oh, they're there. We're working, but it's not that easy, especially like for me. Though I do believe it's like some buttons in your brain that you press mentally and just like, oh, because I used to smoke back in the day, and one day I just didn't. I didn't want to. It was like that easy. I didn't quit. I was like, One day in the morning, I was just like, yeah, I don't want it anymore. So how do you press, like, you have to press the button, and still you face it every single day. And how do you do it?
It's just something, I feel like it's something that it's like a war within yourself, and that goes with your mental health. It's a war within yourself.
War, but it's not supposed to be war, right?
It's not supposed to. And the thing is, you have to be confident. I think you have to be confident in things, but you have to have that circle too of friends that you can come to, and they can help you. Help you along your journey with your self-love. Because self-love, I think you can be helped with that. You can be helped by friends.
But there's a point, like I have a few friends that, are keep talking about, oh, don't do that, because you've been through that mistake, la 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 la. And still every single time they do that mistake, and that's on them, no matter how much I tell them about self-love, or, from my perspective, again, I'm not perfect. I'm not like a teacher or whatever in that
Mhm.
particular subject, though I'm just sharing my experiences, right? So I was like, oh, I would do
Yeah.
that. And like, I feel like we're very similar in this. So I did that helped me. But then again, as a friend, I can say anything for hours. But then if person does not want to accept that, the person will not do it. This
Yeah.
is why I said earlier, like in the discussion with where we're just like two of us without recording, that self-love sometimes, like most of the times I would say, is better to get to the point. If you're just like, okay, I want to proceed. This is why I told you, like, quarantine helped me a lot, because I was in solitary, locked down in the apartment, having my little routine, being on my own. I couldn't go out. I couldn't, like, go and like party it all away or whatever. And I stayed with my head by myself for good 4 months,
Same.
and as you said, like, a lot of people got fucked up during quarantine because, like, they couldn't face what they had, and obviously that would go crazy, because, like, I faced it. Like, I went to therapy. I cry. You should have seen my face every single time after therapy. And it was like my face was like swelling from tears. I couldn't stop crying. It just like it was like fucking volcano, like, coming out nonstop. But then once you talk it out, like, face it and like talk through that, and put the priorities, put the list. I think it just helps. It's not a recipe, it's not a solution. It helps to start. But then again, as I mentioned, it's like a fucking daily work. This is
I,
why, like, I let the work, I took a little vacation, let's say that.
but see,
And when I
I
got
like.
back,
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go
no,
ahead.
no, no. And when I got back, I was like, okay, ego, you've been misbehaving. Let's have a talk, you
Yeah.
know? So, because like it was like it went to the same pattern, because it's not that strong yet. So it started to go to the same pattern, like, that was, because all those patterns that you had, like, after, like, you reach that, oh, I can love myself. And once you reach that point, you just like, okay, cool. But then you have to keep it floating or like going up, because once you don't, you're going back to that circle of your patterns, which were toxic yet convenient, because that's all we knew. It was convenient. We knew how to make ourselves around that space, let's say that, so you keep going into that because it's still what your body, your mental, your brain, like, remembers. So you go back to it. So it's like it's very wavy, I
Yeah.
would
But
say.
I like how you say like therapy. I think therapy used to be looked, frowned upon. People are, oh, you got a therapy, you crazy, this
Oh,
and
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think that's another part of self-love and self-care again, that
Okay to ask for help.
yeah, it's okay. And you know what? I think that's what I really want to look into that because I think it would change a lot of perspectives for me.
Yeah. But like,
Um,
again, guys, like, and for you, D, like, sometimes, like, don't, like, if I tried going to therapy, like traditional psychology therapy, like 4 times since the first time I realized I had depression, even though I didn't have depression in quarantine. It was my fucking best quarantine or lockdown ever. And yet I tried to like do traditional psychology, but if it doesn't work for you, or like for any guys who are listening to it, it's fine. There are other ways to do that. If you want to know more, like, about the different ways, just reach out to me on Instagram. I'm gonna put it. I'm sorry. I'm gonna put it there. And because like traditional psychology didn't work for me, no matter how much I respect it,
mhm.
it is. You have to find your thing, but there are people who are ready to help you, and that's amazing.
Yeah, and because like self-care, like I said, the self-love thing, I think when we got out of quarantine a little bit, like I just had like a breakdown, I started just thinking about all this shit that I was doing in the past and about like how like my best friend, he had died and I didn't get to go to his funeral because I was, in Japan.
Sorry.
And I was just like drinking a lot, you know. Quarantine made me not want to drink a lot. Like I got out of quarantine, I drank, but then I was like, yo, it's not really my thing. Cause the whole time during quarantine, I did like a shot here for those little shot challenges, but other than that, I didn't drink. And I just had a breakdown and it was crazy. Like I just was crying. I called my mom. I called people that I did wrong. It was just crazy. And I was just like, I'm sorry I did this, and that. I just broke down.
That's also like good, like what do they call in AA, like making amends, because
Yeah.
like it was the first step when you realize, okay, stop it, like I don't know, whatever, douchebag, whatever you call yourself, just like, oh, like I did wrong to people, let me apologize to them. I think that's also like a way of healing, or like if someone did you wrong, and they didn't apologize, to let that shit go.